Well, we head to South Africa, where the South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa has weighed in on Russia's invasion of Ukraine, calling for the dispute to be settled through mediation rather than the barrel of the gun. Writing in his weekly open letter to the public, Ramaphosa says negotiation, dialogue and compromise may seem out of touch, but even fanciful, but South Africa had attained democracy through a negotiated settlement. It says South Africa abstained from voting in last week's United Nations resolution on the escalating conflict between Russia and its neighbor, Ukraine. The resolution did not foreground the call for meaningful engagement. Ramaphosa adds that even prior to the resolution being passed at the UN last week, talks between Russian and Ukrainian officials had already started. Joining me tonight is Imtiaz Suleiman, a medical doctor and founder of Gift of the Givers. Well, good to see you, and thanks for your time. Specifically, what are some of the aids that have been rendered to victims in Ukraine?
Good evening to you. We've busy inside Ukraine from Saturday. Fortunately, we have a South African man who's married to a Ukrainian lady, and she was in the country when the invasion took place. Working with him and her, we are funding the purchase of items from wherever it's available, in the stores around her, in the wholesalers in a distance away, and we're delivering aid to refugees who are coming to the area. A lot of offers have come through in the week, elderly people, and just people who have no means of income. And in addition to that, what we've asked them to do is to arrange people in other villages in the same way that she's organized. And in the last 2 or 3 days, similar groups are being set up, an internal network, where we're purchasing items from shops where it's available and distributing to people nearby. We gave out some stuff in an orphanage on the Belarus border, which has been already, that village has been encircled by Russian troops. And right this morning, we found shops available in Kiev, where we can buy items to distribute inside Kiev, and that will start tomorrow. That's one of the aspects which we've already started. We're also looking at purchasing medicines in South Africa, flying it to Poland, and from there we've arranged routes to take it into Ukraine. And thirdly, we're supporting people from the humanitarian affairs in Ukraine who are purchasing items in Europe to move it from Europe and to pay towards those items to move it into Ukraine. So these are the 3 mechanisms we're using right now.
So, Dr. Suleiman, I see that you have a whole lot you're doing yourself and your group, Gift of the Givers. Now, paint a picture of how dire is the situation in Ukraine?
It's catastrophic. You know, we've seen similar situations in Afghanistan, in Chechnya, and in Syria. In Afghanistan and Syria, of course, we supported aid. We provided aid, but we did not go into the country. In Syria, we were in the country. We had medical teams. And we can see a very similar pattern emerging, where there's total destruction of infrastructure, of residential apartments, attacks on water structures, electricity. People get trapped in the universities, in the schools, in areas without food, without water, without electricity, without sewage. And the part that's the most difficult is the mental, emotional, and the psychological aspect. The trauma, the fear can drive a person totally insane in that kind of situation, where people don't know which way to go left or to go right. So as we get the feedback, they keep saying it's a horror, but it's going to unfold even worse. If this is only the beginning, it's going to get far worse, because you're going to have a bigger mass movement of refugees. And remember, when refugees move internally or externally, quite often they can't take the elderly people with them, or they can't take the sick people with them. Those people then get stranded in their own homes, and that becomes another huge issue to deal with. So it's going to get far worse than what it is now, unless by some miracle there's a ceasefire, talks, there's dialogue, and it comes to an end. If not, I feel that the worst hasn't even started yet.
And you talked about emotional, issues with some of these people. Specifically, let's talk about the South African students that are back home. Are you doing anything to ensure that, these traumatized students are catered for?
Those that have come home, their parents can take care of. They are for South Africa as a functioning country, so they would make their own arrangements if needed to see a psychologist or get some kind of backup of some kind of support. Fortunately, they came out quite quickly. Many of them got out into Hungary and in other areas quite fast. There were 2 that were caught up in Subic City, and the one got out yesterday. the mother made their own arrangements, and that child got out yesterday. So from the South African point of view, it's hard to speak because we haven't spoken to any of them. It's not clear how many of them have come back and when they've come back and who's left. But the group that I spoke to, there was one of the student leaders was based in Poland, and was based in Ukraine, and the other one is based in Russia. And a lot of them said they don't want to come back to South Africa. They said that if they come back, they're going to lose the opportunity to study in universities in Europe. And they said, look, they're asking our government and our higher education department to speak to universities in Europe to absorb them into those universities outside Ukraine, because they fear they will never have a chance ever to complete a degree. So a lot of them said they don't want to come over.
Well, Dr. Suleiman, let's close on this. What are some humanitarian principles guiding the aid rendered by a Gift of the Givers charity?
It's very simple. I follow an instruction that was given to me by a spiritual teacher who gave me the instruction to form an organization. It says we help all people of all races, all religions, all colors, all classes, all cultures, of any geographical or location, and of any political affiliation. But we serve them unconditionally. We expect nothing in return, not even a thank you. We serve people with love, kindness, compassion, and mercy, and we always preserve the dignity of man. So on that basis, it's a human approach. We act with humanity. We help as much as we can, whoever we can. We don't ask questions, which tribe, which country, which religion you belong to, which voting party, which political party, doesn't matter to us. If any human being is in trouble and we can help, we help. What Ukraine now, we've assisted 45 countries in our 29-year history. We've even assisted when the church collapsed in your country a few years ago. We were there to assist, take people out and provide people with support in your country. There was a church collapsed a few years ago.
Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman, many thanks for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.